So, Miss Daisy, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to meet with me this afternoon and just talk about what you do and what you bring to your audience. I'm really excited to have you because I know that our backgrounds are similar and that you were in the military before and you were a federal employee and you're a woman. So, I'm very excited for today. Thank you for coming.
Absolutely. I'm happy to be here. Thanks for the invite. I really appreciate it. Yeah.
Yes. So I'm part of your school group, and it's for federally employed women. And can you tell us a little bit more about what you do for women who are in the federal government or who are transitioning out of federal service?
Yes, so absolutely. Thank you for being a part of my school group, Federal Women in Business. So what do I do? So I really I help federal women. I help high achieving women, but particularly federal women, like use their experience to create ownership, income, and wealth for themselves. And what I mean by that is when I talk about income, I'm really saying how do they use those skills and experience they have already in a business? And when I'm talking about ownership, how do they go further with that in using their retirement, their pension, their etc. in getting other multiple streams of income, which I love real estate, and hopefully we'll get a chance to talk a little bit more about that as well.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, awesome. So let me get the school name right because it was Federal Women. What was it? I'm sorry.
Federal Women in Business.
Federal
Yes.
Women in Business, which is me. So I've been a federal government employee for 23 years before the latest riff that happened last year. So I'm really glad that I found your group because it's so niche, but it's so needed because there are a lot of federal women who have skills that can translate over to business.
Absolutely. So a cool thing is I was already doing this before 2025 when we just got thrown into this big riff and
Mm.
RP and all the things that were happening. And so I felt like it was a safe space for federal women to land and say, hey, this is someone who's talking to me, talking about my unique situation. The group, one of the purposes of the group is to have this sort of bridge for those who are transitioning out, who may have got caught up in a lot of the things that were happening within the last year and a half in the federal government, that they find a safe place of land where they can pretty much create that bridge in creating their first income stream.
So was 2025 the moment when you realized that having a federal job is not really that stable? Well, it's stable, but not secure.
Exactly, exactly. It wasn't when I realized it. I'll be honest with you. When I've always wanted a business. I've always had a business. I've always sort of had this side hustle. But I grew up in the federal space, in military, and then the federal government. So I always felt like that was it for me because I really didn't know any better. But I would say the moment that I truly realized that hey, it's not as safe and secure as I think it is was during COVID. And it
Mm.
was the moment I was able to, like a lot of us, for me, it was the moment I was able to work from home, like fully for the first time, real time working from home. And I noticed that I didn't have the same sort of stress. I didn't have the same sort of
Mm.
energy. I could think clearer and I was just doing things better. And I was like, wow, I'm not in this toxic environment anymore. And life is so much better and it could be so much easier, and I can actually work from home because I never thought I really could. And so it was that moment I think that I realized that hey, I have the option
Right.
to bet on myself.
Yes.
You know, and how can I really do it? And so that was probably a pivotal moment. And also during COVID, unfortunately, I lost my sister who had been with the federal government for her entire life as well, just retired.
Mm.
And within 6 months, she passed. She was the
Wow.
last getting to go watch, what they used
Wow.
to do in federal
Right.
government. She worked with the Army in Chinook helicopter. She was in there. She used to run that account. And it made me realize that life is short. And hey, if you want to do something, girl, just go out there, grab it, and do it because
Right.
one chance. So,
That's another similarity that we have. I lost my sister during COVID too. Wow.
wow.
Yep, I did. I lost my sister during COVID, and that's when I got custody of my two nieces. So now I have two
Oh,
niece daughters. Yep.
yes, I'm sure they
Yes.
appreciate it. Yeah, it
Yep.
was life changing, wasn't it? It was
It
one of
was.
those moments. Yeah.
So during COVID, you were working for the federal government, right? And then you were working from home because of COVID. And that's when you realized, I could do this. There's more to life than going into an office and being stressed out. So you talk a lot about monetizing your expertise. So how does somebody, like if I'm a federal woman, I'm working, I'm stressed out, I'm really tired of this, how do I even start to identify what kind of skills I have that I could get paid for?
So I call it your sweet spot. Learning how to tap into what I call your sweet spot. So it's three parts to it. So when I talk about sweet spot, I'm talking about first that thing that all the skills that you have. Take like an inventory of the skills that you have. And a lot of us have this huge body of work. So I say narrow it down, put 5 to 10 skills down that you really have. So sort of take inventory of the skills you really have, and then think about the things that you're just especially good at. What are people coming to you for? What are people get you always want your opinion or your answers for? And then how do you feel about it? Like what's that thing that you would do probably if nobody paid you that you really like doing? And then the third piece of that is what is the market actually paying for from the skills that you have? What is the market actually buying right now? And I think that's where we get confused is that a lot of women, they can get those first two parts right.
Hmm.
But the third part in what is the market actually buying requires you to do some research. So that's where you got to actually be out there with who you call your ideal client or who you're trying to sell to and go, what are they actually buying? What do they need? What's their real problem? And what I have, am I able to solve that problem with what I have? Have I solved it for myself? Have I solved it for someone else? Can I repeat the process, etc.? And so I think when you get those three to come together, like what skills I really have, what am I really good
Right.
at, and how I can, how do I research and understand what the market is asking for. When you can do that, you can create a really simple offer and you can offer that to people who have that problem and they'll be willing to pay you. So we can make it really simple or we can make it really complicated. But I think that's how you get started is understanding what I call your sweet spot.
Your sweet spot. Okay, so if somebody's working their 9 to 5 right now, would that be the first move that they need to make towards entrepreneurship is identify that sweet spot?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
It's identifying that sweet spot. And I'll go even deeper. Why do they need to identify that? Because if you just jump in and do something because it's a trend or everybody's doing it, or you think that's something that you have some sort of passion for, as soon as it get hard, you're gonna bow out because you have no actually you're not really doing something you love, you're not really doing something you're good at, and you're not really doing something the market is rewarding. So when it gets hard, you're just gonna quit, and that's why people.
My That's why I tell my coaching clients about identifying your why. Because I say first I started saying if things get hard. Now I say when things get hard, you got to go back and look at that why you started this business in the first place.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
That's
So
exactly.
it sounds like there's first before you even get into the sweet spot, there's like a mindset shift. Do you think there's a mindset shift that you have to make when you're going from this steady 9 to 5 type job and you're launching something on your own and you're creating this offer?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's tough. It's tough. It's probably the toughest part is that mindset shift. And so I can share how I did that, how I got to that. So, because before that, you have all this confusion, you don't have clarity. So, one of the things that really helped me was I'm a spiritual person. So, I went back to the basics. And the basics for me is just tapping into that thing of who am I? I'm a child of God. I am. I am because he says I am. Realizing that in itself let me know that abundance is my birthright.
Mm,
So starting from that position of abundance is something that is my birthright, is what I have just like anyone else. And then sort of moving into now I have to shift my identity from employee to someone that's betting on herself.
mm,
And that was tough because, especially for us that are service or federal employees or military or whatever, it's always been a we or a team sport. So I eat, you eat, we say we got the job done. And even as you know, when we would
yep.
write our performance reports, everything is always in team terms. It's never like
Yes. We.
bragging on yourself. Exactly. So you
Hmm.
feel weird when it's time to say, look at me and I'm bragging on all my accomplishments, or I'm talking about what I've accomplished and I'm very proud of that. So sort of
Yes.
shifting from that
Yes.
mindset of, hey, I'm betting on myself and it's okay to say what I'm winning at. It's okay to say that I'm
Right.
doing something. It's not ego. It's not ego. It's
Right.
something that I'm actually um, just just deciding to do. So breaking out of that identity from being a servant and being an employee and being able to bet on yourself, which really is the making of your brand when
Right.
you start to do
Exactly.
that. Yeah, we
Yes.
start to do that. And then I think the third thing is we can get caught, and actually, I just posted about this the other day. We can get caught in there's a lot of space out there for federal people and military people for people to offer us a lot of things for free.
Mm,
And it
yep.
doesn't mean that we don't deserve free. Realize on the back end there are somebody that's getting paid for that. And what you get for free is what you pay for sometimes.
Mm.
You get more.
You're dropping gems. You're getting what you paid for. Yep.
Yeah. So a
Yes.
lot of times you get what you're paid for. And so to
Mhm.
go deeper to get what somebody finds really valuable that's really going to move the needle for you, sometimes you
Mhm.
got to pay to be in the room. So it's like paying
Yes.
to be coach, paying to really.
Yes. I just said that the other day about how you can pay for mistakes or you can pay for mentorship. So,
Yes. Yeah.
yes. So it's really important that you invest in yourself. And it is hard to get out of that. You said a lot of things. I took some notes. So first of all, that abundance is my birthright. I love that because it is. It's right there in the Bible. The basic instructions before leaving earth. It's right there in the Bible. And then you said something. I know it's hard to break out of that. We, the team, and all of these things, and then switch over to me and self reliance and things like that. But what really helped me actually was something that someone actually at church mentioned to me because I was talking about moving over into entrepreneurship, and she was like, "Oh, well, you could just make God your CEO, your co-CEO. You guys are partners." And so
Mhm.
now, whenever I think of me, like I'm doing this, I'm doing that, it's we. And so I just think that there is somebody else with me,
I
you
love
know, and
that.
so, yeah. So I just think of him as he's riding with me. He's
That's
riding with
right.
me all the
Right.
time. Yeah, he's ride or die. So I'm like, yeah, we did this, we did that. So yeah. Anyway, that's how I got through that. But now I've lost my train of thought. So the abundance was awesome. Abundance is my birthright. I'm gonna hang that up on my desk. Actually, abundance is my birthright. And then
Yes.
paying
And
for
I
the
heard it from
coaching.
Ash Cash. I don't know if you've ever heard of him, but he broke that thing
No.
down and I picked it right up and I was like, yes, yes,
Yes.
I'm going with
Yes,
that.
yes, yes. And then paying for mentorship. That it is important. And I have since becoming an entrepreneur, I have spent thousands on mentorship and coaching, and it's well worth it. You have to put in that money because other people have paved the way before you, so why not learn from them? It's just like reading books, learn from the people who have already been there.
Exactly. And there's one other point to that, and you're right, I paid thousands and thousands of dollars to do it. And there's one other point to that as well, is that when you don't pay for mentorship, you have a really hard time charging for mentorship. So people who want to do businesses and they haven't extended that type of investment in themselves, they'll have a hard time asking someone else to spend that amount of money to invest it with them. It won't feel congruent.
Definitely. And I have learned that you put out what you get. You have to put out, if I'm charging people $5,000 for a mentorship program and I've only spent $100 on a program, then it's not going to be congruent and I'm not going to feel comfortable with that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely, absolutely.
So what type of person, I know that people like us, yes, we should go ahead and identify our skills and launch our business, whatever that is. What type of person would you say, you know what? No, you shouldn't. You shouldn't do it.
I think a lot of probably what we've been talking about. One, if you're not coachable, I don't care what type of skills that you have. If you're not coachable,
Mm,
this this is not it. This is not it. And honestly, I had an intake with someone, a very prominent person, had been this, big time lawyer within the government, huge everything. And she was stuck on this idea of people doing webinars. Somehow that was under her skin, doing webinars and then offering what they have at the end of in the webinar. She thought that was
mhm.
like teaching and not really truthful about why people are doing webinars and helpful. And so, and then she didn't believe in framework, which I thought were odd. And so it was this idea of she did not believe in some of the basic things that would help her succeed in business. So even
Mm.
though she had really, really good skills that could translate to what people wanted, I think she just needed to use those skills inside of something else. And so,
Yes. Okay. So if you're not coachable, then
right.
you probably shouldn't try this because entrepreneurship is not for the weak.
No,
It is
absolutely
not.
not. Absolutely not.
My mom used to wear this shirt, and she's from Detroit, and it said, Detroit, no place for wimps. That's what I feel about entrepreneurship. No place for wimps.
You're the wrong
Anyway,
game, girl.
right, right. So if somebody is watching this and they know that they need that guidance and they need a community around this transition, what's the next step for them? I already know the answer, what the next step is for them, but what's the next step for them? Where should they be hanging out?
Find a room, find a tribe. I want them to come hang out if they're in federal women in business, but find a community, find a tribe, find and hang out for a little while. And I'm not one to say that hey, you need to go from 0 to 100. So maybe you don't need the biggest ticket item someone has, but give something a try.
Hmm.
Start like where you are. Like I always say this about being in a room, and sometimes you got to be in different rooms before you figure out which room you want to be in. So get yourself in those particular rooms. Even, and I've been here, and I'm sure you've been here too, even if you feel totally uncomfortable in that room, you
Mm,
want to get in these different rooms that will open things up for you so you can start to see well what direction I want to go and how do I want to go there. I always say like even if you're in the room you don't know what they're talking about. I always use the analogy you're eating tilapia and they're eating lobster, and feeling like you're not supposed to be in that room, you know what I mean? um, you're still hearing the same things. You're still catching the same vibes that are in that particular room. And so
mhm.
stay in that room, stay in different rooms, and each time you'll level up. And I'll give you a quick example. I did my real estate investing brunch last week. I want to say last Saturday down in Biloxi.
Hmm.
And the guys in the back, they were like putting out the food and serving and all of that. They were in the room the whole time that we were doing a fireside chat, and we were just talking about starting where you are, whatever type of real estate you want, setting up your business. We were just talking about different things. There was so many gems dropped, and I went and I asked those guys. I was like, "Did you guys get anything from today? You know, what did you hear?" And it was a guy in the back. He was from Jamaica, and he said, "Yeah, I really did." He was like, "What I'm going to start tomorrow is I'm going to figure out how to start my Jamaican food truck out here on the beach,
Wow. Wow. See, just from being in the room,
just from being in the room."
just from being in the room. Yes.
Yes.
That is so true. I hate that I missed that real estate investing brunch, but that's a great segue into, so I noticed that a lot of federal, not just women, but people who have federal experience, and maybe it's because of the VA loan, I'm not sure, but they're really into housing businesses. So why do you think that these housing based businesses are so appealing right now in general?
I think in general that people are realizing that, hey, there's another way that I can actually create some type of wealth or legacy for myself. And why I like real estate is that once I was turned on to real estate, I realized everyone has to have a home, somewhere to stay.
Right.
So, and in the process of me profiting from it, whether it's cash flows, etc., I also have assets. And then
Hmm.
those assets can in turn into legacy for my kids. So I think in a way for me to pass on to them how they could create that in their life. And I think there's other things like tax benefits that people hear a lot
Right.
about. How can I shelter my money? I think there's a lot of how could I use retirement funds to invest in properties because I get more back from those retirement funds than I would if I was trying to put my money in something safe that maybe is giving me 2-3% on my money. Even the stock market, I think more. I think it's probably secure in things like real estate. But I just think people are more educated on it now because the
Hmm.
information out there better and people are understanding it. And probably, like you said, a lot of people are understanding how they can maybe leverage their VA loan better at this time. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I definitely, I'm a huge fan of real estate, and that's what I'm in the co living space. So, taking a rental property and instead of just renting it out to one person or to one family, renting it out by the room so you can benefit from both the ownership aspects of having this piece of property, but also from the cash flow of renting out the multiple rooms and 10x in your income on that rental property. So that's awesome. I definitely need to be in the room for the next real estate brunch.
Yeah, and
Yes.
co-living, man, it is so hot right now. I'm
Hmm.
not in that space, so definitely I need to be talking to you about that and co-living and ADUs. They call it,
Yes.
that the people
Yep.
are putting on their homes. Like, it is crazy.
Yeah.
People are like
Well,
in the
if you have time, you should come out to my conference. It's April. I was gonna say next month. It's already April 1st. It is April 24th and 25th here in Los Angeles. I'm having a conference all about co-living. It's a 2-day conference.
wow. Yes, I think so. That would be an awesome thing. Awesome, awesome thing. Seems like we have some things that we could really talk about. Yeah.
We really do. We need to do some collaboration. Aside from
Yeah.
this interview, we need to do some collaboration. I need to hang out more in your school group too.
Absolutely.
I really do. I need to hang out more. I've been so overwhelmed with all my coaching because I started my business after being laid off from my job last year. So I started my coaching business, and I teach people about doing the co-living. So I've been so busy with that I haven't been spending as much time in the school group. But I need to get back in there.
Absolutely. Yeah. So in the school group, there's a new space called the Wealth Circle. And in that group, people will be able to come into that group. They'll be able to put their strategy together of how they want their real estate to portfolio to look. Whether it's co living, whether it's ADUs, whether they want single family. So we'll get together, we'll do some one-on-one consultation, we'll get their strategy together. We'll have others in there that do different type of real estate. I'll have guest speakers in there that'll come every month to talk about their specialty and how what they do in real estate. And then we'll have deals in there. We'll start to get a deal flow in there that people will be able to invest in certain different deals inside of that circle as well. And for those who want both, want business and the wealth circle, we'll have a VIP offer that they can do both at the same time. So they
Okay.
can build that income and invest it into properties.
That's my room. That's where I need to be. Okay, I'm going to check it out. So have you already made it live on your school group, the Wealth
It
Circle?
is semi-live. It is
Okay.
semi-live. Yeah, yeah. But it will
Okay.
be live
Yes.
within a few days.
Okay. So if you, Daisy, had to start over again today, you had no audience, no business, just what you know from your federal experience and your military experience, what would you do in the next 30 days to get your business up and going?
Okay, so I would say this to anyone, and it is really the income bridge 30-day plan that I I actually have that on my stand store that people can sort of tap into. Well, first, I would take an assessment, and I have a free assessment, which is actually that women can take my free assessment at any time. I can drop that link. So I would take an assessment to get an idea of where I am so I can have a little bit more clarity. And then I would deep dive in, I would say week one, I would really deep dive into understanding my sweet spot, where we kind of talked about what is it I really want to do. And then I would create one simple offer from that. One simple thing that you can give to that you can do, whether it's a one-on-one coaching session, whether it's something you can do for someone, whether it's a workshop you can do. If say you were a grant writer or grant person, kind of like I was in the federal government, you could do a workshop on how to find grants or something. So create something, a workshop or a one-on-one or something around that. And then I would talk to everyone I know, but all my socials, all the people I know, everybody's in my phone. There's probably 200 or 300 people in everybody's phone, everybody
Hmm.
I know, and I will let them know what I'm doing. Hey, everyone, I'm offering this one-on-one. I'm offering this workshop. I'm offering this thing. Do you need it, or do you know anyone that needs it? You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Because your first client is normally going to come from your circle anyway. It's going to come from your inside circle. And then I'll sell it before I perfect it. I would sell it.
Okay.
Clients are going to tell you what they want, and they're going to tell
Hmm.
you what to do differently the next time you do that workshop. And so I would sell it and get better as I go at it. So to kind of recap, week one, I would look at my sweet spot. And then week two, I would create me a simple offer. And then week three, I would tell everybody in the world about it. And then week four, I would sell it before I perfect it. And that's how I would get
Awesome.
started. That's how I think everyone should get started, really.
Awesome. Awesome advice. Because, like you said, done is better than perfect. Just
Exactly.
roll it out, and then you can perfect it as you go. And that's
Exactly.
what I think a lot of women, maybe not military women, because we're just like, get it done, mission and all that. But women, a lot of times, want to be perfect. And so we end up not releasing anything, not launching anything because we want it to be perfect first.
Exactly. Exactly. And I think sometimes in the military, at least maybe not on the federal side as much, but military women, sometimes they do, because I literally was doing a consultation with someone that retired from the Marines, and I was like, just put it out there. It doesn't have to be perfect. And
Hmm.
she literally said this to me. I'm a Marine. I don't do anything half-assed.
Yeah, I do. Okay, so I do hear that. And both my parents were military. So they said that to me all the time, like, never do anything half assed. But
Yeah.
you know what? I don't know if it's because of Iraq, but at one point in my life, it was just like, you know what? We're all going to die. Just do it.
Exactly, exactly, exactly.
Just put it out there.
You have to, because how do you get better?
Right, exactly. Because you're not going to get feedback if you don't put it out there. So I
Exactly,
just put stuff out there, and then people will tell you, they'll give you feedback, and then you can implement that feedback.
exactly,
Yep.
exactly. But you try a lot of things. Some of it works,
Yes.
sticks,
Some
some of
of
it
it,
don't.
exactly. Throw the spaghetti at the wall, see what sticks. Yeah. Well, this has been awesome. So, can you tell us again, Daisy, how people can get in touch with you?
Absolutely. So they can complete my assessment. And again, I'll give you that link. I'm also
Okay.
in, I would love for people to join my school group, Federal Women in Business. And I'm also on YouTube. I have a YouTube
Okay.
channel called Dream Out Loud. And
Okay.
it's for the same audience of women learning how to just live their life fully when they retire from federal government. And so YouTube, LinkedIn, and they can also fill out my assessment.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Absolutely. Thank you.